these young people kind of come down here. They're skipping class this morning. They're anxious to get back to algebra. I know it. I know it. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. There's a lot to get to this morning, and so I told Phil I had a 3-minute welcome. I might have lied. It might be 4 or 5. I'll go as quick as I can. You give a Sky executive a microphone, and they'll yak for a while. So truth and disclosure, anything I might say, Anthony Berger, our Director of Cub Scouting, may refute later. Anthony and I have actually known each other since we were 16, thereabouts. We grew up on the same summer camp staff together as kids. So I was a better staff member than him. So, okay, well, maybe not. So, all right, so welcome to Chicago. On behalf of the 5 Chicago councils and our 70,000 scouts and volunteers, welcome here to the People's Republic of Illinois. We're glad you're here. So I've been a member of the professional staff for 25 years and a member of the staff here in Illinois for a year. And I want to share a couple personal experiences as it relates to membership. A couple of anecdotes real quick, and growing our program and reaching more people. And by no means do I suggest that I have all the magic answers or silver bullets, because I obviously don't. But I heard a professional once kind of give me the 3 rules of membership as per a professional, and I've tried to remember those throughout my entire career. And rule number 1 is know where you are every day. You know, rule number 2 is own it. And rule number 3 is do something about it every single day. I grew up in scouting. My dad was a career Navy man. We moved around 8 cities before I got to junior high school. And he retired, and we ended up in a little town called Port Charlotte, Florida, and joined a Boy Scout troop there. And during the course of the first 8 moves, there was a Cub Scout pack or Boy Scout troop every base we moved to. I was in 3 different packs and 3 different troops before we settled in Port Charlotte. And the reason there was a pack and a troop to join every time we moved is because someone like you in the room took time to organize our pack and troop to make sure it was there. I got to be a scout because someone did the hard work, convinced the charter organization to charter a unit, recruited volunteers, trained volunteers, planned a program, and I had a scouting experience every home we had because of it. And I'm mindful of that. Did not think I'd become a professional scouter. Grew up there in the Everglades, Camp Miles as a kid, Camp Death. And I am not exaggerating. I have been bitten by alligators, bitten by snakes, chased by bears, chased by pigs, chased by panthers. It was real scouting. The alligator bite, totally my fault. I was playing with it, trying to put it in Anthony's cabin one night and lost my grip on it. Probably wasn't your cabin, but you know, we used to catch little baby alligators out of the lake and surprise other staff members, and they come home at night and open their cabin door to be an alligator in their cabin. My dad was not happy with the emergency bill on that one, and the camp staff wouldn't cover it under workers' comp. The snake incident, I won't share here, but there's a scar here. Always check a toilet seat before you sit at camp. Great scouting memories, experiences. And I talk about this danger element of scouting because we kind of sell this. We sell this, you know, on the edge excitement kind of stuff. And then we got to temper that with creating this safe environment for us to grow and fail. And I think that's important that we recognize when we create these environments for young people, we're creating these environments for them to grow, and you don't grow unless you fail. You have to have these opportunities where you have some minor disasters that you have to recover from. And our kids today aren't afforded those opportunities. And in scouting, they get those opportunities. Fail without being failed. And it's critically important to develop grit. It's critically important to create resilience. And it helps shape young people to become better citizens, better parents, better workers, and just better people all around. But it takes effort. We have to do the hard work. We have to go out, convince charter partners to make scouting part of their mission, part of their outreach. We've got to recruit volunteers. And there's a big difference between recruiting volunteers and asking for volunteers. And we've got to change our mindset from asking to recruiting. We have to be active, deliberate, and intentional about who we ask to put on the uniform to lead young people. And that's critically important. We got to train them. We got to support them. and we have to help evaluate and plan and build. It's all part of that process. I appreciate y'all taking time out to do that this morning. And again, I am very, very mindful of my 25 years in scouting, and I wouldn't be in scouting if someone hadn't done the work, 40 years ago to make sure those packs were there and the troop was there. I'll share one membership experience, and I'll turn it back over to Phil. My first year as a district executive, as all first-year district executives, I felt like I know this. You're either one of two. You're either completely befuddled by the job, or you're, so overly confident that you end up sounding like you're befuddled anyways. We had two troops in Cape Coral, Florida, Troop 4 and Troop 22. Troop 4 at Cape Coral United Methodist Troop, and Troop 22 at Cape Coral Baptist Church. And they both met on opposite corners of the street on Monday nights. And Troop 4 was this, oh my goodness, awesome troop. 50 kids, leaders everywhere, high adventure trips. They were just rocking all the time. Troop 22, handful of kids. The scout leaders were curmudgeonly at best. I think together they owned one uniform, the entire group, and it was just a nightmare. It was a nightmare experience trying to get Troop 22 working. And in my first year, I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not struggling with Troop 22 anymore. The leaders are a pain in the butt. The troop's always in crisis. I talked to leaders of Troop 4, and I came up with a solution. One night, showed up at the meeting, walked into Troop 22, and said, y'all come with me. We walked across the street, and they were now the Phoenix Patrol of Troop 4. Troop 22, don't have to worry about it anymore. Done. And these kids are going to get a great scouting experience. I've just saved their scouting adventure. It's awesome. A month later, talked to Dan, the scoutmaster. How's the Phoenix Patrol? I said, haven't seen them. What do you mean? He said, came to one meeting, they haven't been back. Troop 4 is awesome. Why wouldn't they be back? Call them up. I understand you're not going to the meetings anymore. I said, yeah. Some dude closed our troop. I took a shortcut. I took the easy way out. I didn't do the work I needed to do. I didn't make that troop better. And because of it, those 6 kids didn't get a scouting experience. And that's my fault. So I work hard every day to make sure we do the hard work first and don't take shortcuts. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Clint. And let's hear it again for 3 Fires. It's pretty hard for me to top that opening, so thank you for the heartfelt, and I think we all can go around and have those heartfelt, and that's really what we're about, is telling the story of how scouting has impacted our lives, impacted the kids we've influenced, built great relationships. I can tell you some of my greatest friends are from my time in my troop, and are until today. So, next, I want to say thanks again to Jeff Wine. Let's hear it for Jeff Wine. He really gave me some inspirational thoughts about what we need to do. I loved his ideas about his approach from Take the Troop and how they connect with the pack, Take the Troop and how you connect with parents, Take the Troop and how you connect with the scouts, and how those all work together. And that was just another fresh way of looking at it. And I think that's what we're trying to do here at the NextConnect conference, is get some fresh thinking. You all are experienced in your field, whether it's in scouting, whether it's in marketing, membership programs, but we all need to keep learning. And that's why we're here today. And so be open, have conversations, talk to people. This is a time for sharing, getting to know one another. I argue that these kind of meetings, there's as much good coming out of what happens in the one-on-one conversations at breakfast, at lunch, at a break, as there is when we're preaching to you. So take note of all of that. It's a great opportunity. So I'm going to do a little warm-up here. So how many of you have been to a NextConnect conference? Awesome. How many of you were at NextConnect last year in Cincinnati or Vegas? Great. So we're going to try to keep on building on this. We've actually had a council ask to host next year, so stand by. I wanted to actually do 4 of them this year. The world has changed, so we're glad to do 1 this year. We'll try to, we're going to work up to so we can have them more on a regional basis, so more people can participate. And I'm going to pound the drum a little bit here. I'd ask you to tell people about it. We've got to get marketing and membership and programming working together. That's the way we're going to tell the Scout story. So that's one of my things. So some kind of housekeeping here before we get going. I talked about the networking side of this. For those of you who haven't discovered, for Wi-Fi here, it's Hyatt Meetings. Password is hamburger, all lowercase. Of course it's hamburger. Why wasn't it Hamburger University? I can't remember 2 words, so no. So that's Wi-Fi. Now, I will say this. I'd really like you to be focused today, though. I'm big with my iPad Pro and my phone, but let's, I know this is the technological era, but let's try to be present. And so I know when you got to use, you got to check in, but let's try to keep that to a minimum so it's not distracting you and so that we all can learn from that. That's either an old guy's perspective of the world, or let's just try to make this investment that you made in coming here really pay off for us. The slides. All the decks will be available, so including last night's. So I think that's great. I often get to these things and I'm scrambling. Am I going to get the deck? Because I can't keep up. So we'll do that. And if you need to take a photo of a slide during the show, that's fine too. So anyway, with that, I think we're going to get started. We've got a jam-packed agenda. We're pretty well on track. So let me grab my notes. So we're going to start off with 3 guys that if you don't know them, you really need to get to know them. And that's Michael and Darin and Tom. So a little bit about these guys. We're going to talk about Scout Me In. So last year, I just wanted to remind, last year was our kind of introduction to Scout Me In. And over the course of the past year, Scouts BSA has come into play. And so let's think about that all under family scouting. And I think we all need to be prepared to talk about family scouting and why we have this and the way we're set up. Those are the kind of things that Clint kind of alluded to. We got to know, we got to own it. We got to know the story. When somebody asks us about youth protection, we got to know the story. We've got to be ready to tell that. So, I got off track here. So, I'm going to introduce these gentlemen. First off, Michael Ramsey, Director of Marketing and Brand Management for the BSA. Michael began his career in private industry. He's held a variety of marketing and communications positions in scouting, including Director of Marketing and Speechwriter for the Chief Scout Executive and his cabinet. At one point, he left BSA to become Vice President of Fundraising and Marketing for CCA, a $10 million poverty outreach nonprofit. He later joined Circle 10 Council as Director of Marketing. Michael's got a lot of great credentials. Today, Michael oversees the development of brand standards and marketing for the BSA. So if you have any questions, and I have a lot of them every day for him, so ask him, and he's got a wonderful team surrounding him. And you're going to meet a lot of that leadership team here. Next, Darin Kinn is the marketing manager for Cub Scouting. Before joining BSA, Darin was an account executive at Radio Disney, so he knows how to talk to kids. He also held several retail marketing positions at Levi Strauss. And finally, last but not least, Tom Rugh is the marketing manager for our older youth programs, as you know, Scouts BSA. In his position as team lead for older youth marketing, Tom has primarily been responsible for branding, marketing, and advertising for Scouts BSA. Prior to joining Scouts, Tom worked at Verizon. He has a master's degree in marketing from the University of Texas at Dallas, and we had a good discussion last night about his time at Texas A&M. Whoop! All right, we got a few Aggies in the room. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Michael, and we'll get our NextConnect conference really going.
Thank you,
Michael.
All right, thank you. Let's give all everyone applause. Thank you for that I need to edit that bio down, it's way too long. The one thing that bio doesn't include is I'm also a recovering Cub Master and a recovering Scoutmaster. It's the best job in scouting. I love it. It's also the hardest job in scouting. And I always thought I was able to teach the kids a lot. We also learned a lot from the scouts that are in our troops. You may all identify with this. Some scouts you learn more from than others. So in our troop, that was Robert. Robert was about this tall. He was a scruffy-headed little kid with a spring-loaded shirt tail that would not stay tucked in. He was a little ball of fire. He was great. First summer camp, Worth Ranch, Longhorn Council, hot as all get out. He comes over the first night and says, "Hey, Mr. Ramsey." "Yes, Robert." "Can I borrow your flashlight?" Where's your flashlight, Robert?" "Well, you know that pit latrine over there?" "Yes, Robert." "Well, I dropped my flashlight in the pit latrine, and I want to use yours to see if I can go find it." And what did I say?
No.
Go talk to your SPL. He's back over there, right? Robert was great. Robert was a walking lesson in what to do and what not to do. Coming back from the Scoutmaster Steak Fry on Thursday night, where the Scout executive comes and does his piece, which, by the way, was worth the price of admission at Longhorn. The steaks were fantastic. We're coming by the dining hall, and there's Robert looking at the dining hall window like this. "Hey, Robert, what are you doing?" "Oh, hey, Mr. Ramsey. I can't find my wallet." "Oh, okay. Well, can we help you look for it?" "Yes, please." "All right." So we go into the dining hall, and we looked under the chairs, and under the salad bar, behind the ice cream machine, and I finally said, "Hey, Robert, so where was the last place you actually saw your wallet?" And he said, "Well, I think it was in the shower house." "So, Robert, why are we looking in the dining hall?" And he says, "Well, you know, I brought my flashlight in the pit latrine, and the light is much better here in the dining hall, and I thought I'd start here." Well, we found Robert's wallet in the shower house, and yes, he did go on to become an Eagle Scout, which is a great tribute to his mother. So today, that's a long setup, but we're going to shine the light on some research that we've done, a lot of great work that Tom and Darin have done, that are going to help us get more kids in scouting and generate even more Eagle Scouts, and have the kids have a great experience in scouting. So let's talk about research for a minute. Here's a quiz for you. That's not me.
Hey.
There's Phil. That's right, very good. Thank you. Right? Quiz. Right? Look at that dissolve. Hey, what is the average age? So every year we do studies. We do a study of parents that signed their kids up for Cub Scouting the previous year, right? So who knows the average age of a new Cub Scout parent that joined in 2018? I hear a 32.
28.
I hear a 28. 35. Bingo, right? No, not yet. Guess what? Right? The average age, right? Dad is 43, mom is 40, that average out to 40, right? Interesting. Top 3 reasons they joined. They said, this is what parents told us. Why did you get your son or daughter involved in Cub Scouting? To develop character, to learn about nature and learn outdoor skills. It's kind of fun, right? To build self-confidence. Fun's on that top 5 list, but it's not part of the 3. You know, we all use posters, flowers, yard signs, stickers, and excitement to sell the outdoor experience and join Cub Scouting, and it's fun, right? Those are all part of the mix, but this is what parents say they're looking for. It's an interesting insight, right? How'd they hear about scouting? This won't surprise you too much. Flyer at school, 25%. Anybody surprised at that? I'm surprised it's not higher, quite frankly. 26% family or friends. 35% say they have a family member that's in scouting, right? So that's that whole generational scouting component that we talk about a lot, right? How did I get involved in scouting? Man, my dad was a scout, or my grandfather was an Eagle Scout, or my brother, right? There's some kind of generational scouting connection, right? That's where they're coming from. 10% saw scouts around town, right? That's raising the flag in front of the school, or maybe selling popcorn, or something like that, right? Why did they leave? This one's interesting, right? So they do an exit study, a survey as well. Number 1 reason? Meetings not well organized. Who's ever walked into a Cub Scout pack meeting and thought, wow, right? Where's the leader? Poor leadership, 27%, right? Schedule conflicts, 25%. And I look at these numbers and start thinking, is schedule conflict an excuse because I came to the meeting and it was a dumpster fire, or what, right? It's interesting, right? Child no longer interested. This is the one that makes my head hurt. Almost 20% say they signed up for Cub Scouting and nobody ever contacted them. They didn't know what the meeting was, right? Does that blow your mind? We know what happens, right? Almost 20% of people. Number of times they were invited to join. So we do posters, flyers, yard signs, stickers, we're on social media, we might do geofencing, right? We're doing scout talks in schools, and parents come back and say, how many times were they asked to join? Just shout out the number of times.
0.
I got a 0, a 1. It's 1. They were asked to join once, right? So there's a lot riding on that little recruitment flyer, right? Or whatever it is that you're using. There's a lot of pressure on this. It's big number 1, right? It's really interesting. So one of the things that obviously we know, who's the key decision maker for signing kids up for Cub Scouting? It's mom, typically. Here's what we're seeing in the data. So Tom Ruh's going to talk about the work that they've done with geofencing and some digital work they did from February to the end of March around Scouts BSA. They're finding out that while mom is part of the decision-making process on Scouts BSA, dad is a bigger influence in part of that conversation. It's an interesting little bit of a flip. I know how it was in my Cub Scout pack and my Scout troop experience. Well, yeah, our den was a machine. We had moms all over the place. But when it came time to bridge into the Scout troop, it was like, that was fun. He's yours now. And dad got the job in the Scout troop, right? And dads were more than happy to do it. It was interesting. Dads were more likely to search BSA troop and zip codes. Dads were more influential. It's amazing data, lots of research and information. We're going to share with you that joining study, a summary of it, and we'll send it out via email. There's lots of great nuggets in there that will probably help you make decisions on how to best reach your audiences within your councils. It's really great stuff. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tom Rugh. Tom handles marketing for our older youth segment, which includes everything. If you've seen the rebranding of Exploring over the years, you've seen any work done around venturing, but particularly on Scouts BSA. You know, we haven't had, we know how we've marketed Scout troops in the past, right? We really haven't. We had an open house, and we stood on this side of the bridge, and we waited for the kids to cross, and if they didn't cross, it was like, well, I guess it's a rebuilding year, and we'll do this again next year, right? So this guy has done amazing work over the past, 18 months, building out more Scouts BSA, Scout recruitment material than we've ever had before, and I'll let him talk about that experience. So ladies and gentlemen, here's Tom Rugh.
One more click.
Go guys, get your stuff.
Don't forget your coffee. And I'll meet you there later with the food.
Sounds good.
Oh, don't forget your coffee.
You guys ready? What about you?
Scouting.
Let's go.
So that video, it really sums up for a lot of y'all in this room. I know Anna Hudak, who grew up being tag-along, going to scouting, being able to see a young lady like that have the opportunity to join scouting. That's why we shot this video. It was funny when we put this video out on social media, so many people are like, girls should be in scouting, girls shouldn't be in scouting. All this debate, Jared on my team's managing the comments. I love one guy just sent in and said, why can't that guy remember to take his coffee on the scouting trip? So it sort of sums up. Let's get to what's really important here. But thank you, Michael, for the introduction. It's hard to follow Michael. Perfect hair, voice, clothes. First business trip I went on with Michael, we were at the airport, and the waitress at the restaurant came up and said, are you a weatherman? You have that stuck with me ever since, and he's got the look. So, but Scouts BSA, right here is our main priorities of what we're trying to do. It is a challenge. You look at Cub Scouts, it's true, 97% of Boy Scouts started as Cub Scouts. Scouts BSA, we are going out now to 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old saying, do you want to join? They've had 5 years of soccer, dance, sports, softball, activities. They're joining a group they could never join in 108 years. Big challenges. So we set these goals, 2,500 new troops, 25,000 females, really update and build our brand, more relevant, more inclusive, accepting of girls. You go through and look how many girl photos, videos do we have, few and venturing, nothing else. So big challenge is develop more culture year-round recruiting. It usually is, come on in, Webelos, we're ready for you. How are we gonna start saying, do joining nights, do recruiting, have open houses, and increase the quantity and quality of our marketing assets. So how are we gonna do that? You know, we did some national activity. There was big launch, there was parties, PR's done a great job getting the word out. But we started with 20 markets that were hand-selected by marketing committee, different input, our growth coaches, the 4 of them across the region. And we said on these 20, we are gonna go out and try some things we've never tried before. This you'll have to digest later. Basically just said we're gonna do paid social media, paid search media, we're going to use YouTube, influencers. We set up a landing page that is specifically for, if you go to scoutsbsa.org, it was custom built and done for teens to come in, their parents, to see videos, photos, and understand what this new organization is about. We did remarketing. You go look at a pair of shoes, you go back on a website, 10 minutes later, here's the ad for those shoes. Getting into that's a little Big Brother-ish, but that's the way the world's doing marketing. Follow-up of leads, and there's a photo. So what we then did is what channels we're going to use in these 20 markets. Facebook, which now owns Instagram, Google, which now owns YouTube, they're all conglomerates here, and then Pinterest and Snapchat. We have never tried Pinterest, Snapchat, YouTube. We're like, you know what? That is where teens are today. Some of y'all, who in here uses Snapchat regularly? Probably a few, probably skews a little younger. Pinterest, maybe not as much. If you're the joke I heard, how many of y'all think Spotify is something to get spots out of your dry clean? So if you're in that group, you're probably not in the demographic here. But we have found this is where parents are. Surprising the number of dads on Pinterest. We saw dads interacting with this. The number of moms on Snapchat that maybe they're be keeping up with their teen daughters, but they're out there. So what we did was go out over 6 weeks. We had this custom landing page, like I mentioned, more engaging, click to learn more, tie in to be a Scouts, really show girls like Mercedes Matlock talking about how she could be in scouting and what she could do now that girls have this opportunity. So, over 6 weeks, in 20 markets, spending about as much as, I used to work at Verizon, we would spend this in a half hour, what we spend in 6 weeks. But we set a goal of 1.1 million impressions. We hit 3.8 million. So an impression is, you saw an ad come across your Facebook, your Instagram, you saw us out there. It's really brand building awareness. It's saying to people for the first time, hey, Scouts BSA is accepting girls. We had boy targeted ads too, but our heavy focus was letting girls know we're open and they can join. 3.8 million impressions. We had right at 400,000 is 377,000 video views. So the different 6, 10, 15-second videos we put out on YouTube, Snapchat, Pinterest, almost 400,000 video views. But really what it comes down to is, what are they doing? we want them to go to our site and look up how to find a troop near me. Our goal was 990 over this short 6-week period. We were right at about 2,900 troop searches. That's someone directly from our ad that we can track going in and looking up how to find a troop near them. And then we sort of combined 885 leads. That's when you go into Be a Scout and say, contact me, I'm interested, I want more information. And as we look at the fall, that is a key bucket. Boy, the hard thing is when we drive and pay and get these ads there, sadly we go back and look, and a lot of times 30%, 50% have not been touched, followed up on, or closed out in the system. So one thing you can help us with so much is getting a culture of, we are going to go into Be a Scout and look for leads, how to convert them, how to get them to sign up. We had several hundred that did request more information. We started an email series, a nurturing series, sort of following up with them over time to keep them interested. And we have some that can apply now. People have online registration turned on. That's growing. That's happening also. So overall, we feel really good about our success. The other thing that came up is we did search nationally in these 20 markets. We sort of did the full whole thing of marketing. You can see where we had other awareness and other marketing. We had higher conversion rates. We had a decrease in cost per conversion, and we had a higher click-through rate on all the ads that we had. So sort of the surround sound, while impressions at the end of the day aren't our goal, it's one important thing. If you look at a funnel, you have impressions, awareness, consideration, and then conversion. So really working that, we were able, the first time in this market, I think, to see some real traction and things to build on. We will go in and look in more detail. For instance, Snapchat, great awareness. Not many people ever end up looking up a zip code. YouTube, we struggled with. It was like, well, people saw us, but it didn't quite do what we wanted. Google search did phenomenally. Both branded terms, which are how to join scouting, how to join Boy Scouts, girls joining scouting, did phenomenally, and even unbranded terms like summer camp, activities for kids after school, developing leadership in youth, those also did surprisingly well. I will speed up here because we're still going. Social media, Jared on my team does this, and we have really put our stake in the ground on Instagram. If you haven't, I know we have Wi-Fi, I don't want to distract everyone, but if you go to Instagram, follow Boy Scouts of America. A little over a year ago, started working on this. We had about 17,000 followers. We're over 50,000 now. Our goal at the end of the year is to be at 100,000. This 98% of the things on here are photos taken by scouts at scouting activities. They are sharing, they are tagging, they are, look at the adventure I had. They don't post them directly to Instagram. They come to Jared, we curate them, we look at them and say, yep, this is great. We have things around scout skills. We have adventure ambassadors, 4 or 5 different Eagle Scouts from Greenland to climbing Mount Everest to amazing things in the Himalayas around the world. They are taking, we just had a guy that did the Grand Canyon send us 80 short videos of his trip down the Grand Canyon, a former Eagle Scout, or current Eagle Scout who's aged out. So amazing opportunity to tap into this network of people doing these things and share it. So even look at your local councils. My challenge would be, how can you build on this? Matt Armstrong back there, my Aggie buddy, he, when I go look at his Facebook page and Instagram, he has taken our stuff, he's localizing it, he's putting it out there, he's building on it. That is what we love to see. How can we partner, get these amazing photos, share those stories, because we can't send a video crew out there every summer camp and pick those things up. The council resources, just real quick, we have playbooks, we have PowerPoints, we have strengthening you through scouting. We have a 40-plus page deck on how to use Instagram. Michael's going to tell you where to find all this. It's out there. Email marketing. We Below to Scout Transition. We have 5 emails that go to We Below leaders, Scout parents, how to make We Below transition, why it's important, why to be ready for it. Those go in January, February every year. The welcoming series that we talked about. And you go out there, we probably have 40, 50-plus videos. They're either Scout Me In, they are testimonials, A lot of them, 3 or 4 more, I'll show you one in a second when we finish up. And that is moms talking about why they're excited about scouting, why they're going to be a leader for their girls' troop, why they currently lead their boy troop. You know, in Cub Scouting, 60-70% of leaders are female. Starting last year, 96-97% of our scout leaders for Boy Scouts were men. So how are we going to bring around that next group of women and female leaders that we need so badly? Part of the way we're doing that, I'll show you a couple of videos we just shot in San Diego and Camp Tahoe outside of Colorado. These are sort of the aspirational, inspirational, national, sort of, wow, look at the things you can do in scouting. These aren't what you're going to do every day in a troop meeting and local camp. We have some of those assets. This summer we're going to California to Camp Witsit, which is a local camp. And we're shooting some of those more traditional flag ceremony, coach course, camp activities. But here we wanted to show some of the amazing things you can do in scouting, and you'll see that. This is watching the Jeep commercial where they're driving through the redwoods and the things. You're going to get your Jeep and drive back and forth from here to downtown Chicago, but that doesn't make for a good commercial. You know, that isn't what people want to see. So that is just trying to up that what we're doing. So here's I'll end with, and we're going to come back for questions after Darin's done. I'll end and just show you a few of these videos real quick.
I got a fire in me that can't be tamed. I hear the moment and it's calling my name. Thunder cry from the top of a mountain high. There's nothing stopping me, I'm making my way. I'm gonna rise above, that's how I was made. Take me up to the top of a mountain high.
So we have a boys version of that, or girls version of that. We shot that in January. A little of the feedback, our learning, shooting, working with girls is eyelash extension, a little of the makeup may have been a little too perfect. So we went to San Diego, adjusted a little bit. The thing we shot here, mostly this is scouts. Every once in a while we have to bring in hired talent if it's hard for a scout to miss school on a Wednesday. But what you'll see is we do videos boys only, girls only, and then this one, I don't want to call it co-ed, but it's sort of edited together where there's boys, girls, one scene. Shockingly, the boys and girls are there at the same time. We shot at the beach in San Diego. Nobody stopped. Nobody asked what we were doing out there. So it is sort of interesting putting 2 kids together and you see what they do. So. But you'll get a feel for some of the videos we have out there that target a little more the parent leader feel to them.
Hi, I'm Laura Markshausen. I'm Scoutmaster with Troop 870. I got started several years ago in scouting with my boys. I began as a merit badge counselor, and since then I've enjoyed going on other activities with them, whether those be campouts or hikes, but I have thoroughly enjoyed my time being able to be a part of those activities. I've enjoyed getting to see them accomplish amazing things and do amazing things. And our oldest son just received the rank of Eagle, and it has been such an incredible journey to watch him from where he started as a scout and moved all the way through the ranks. In February, I am so excited for the new transition of being able to bring girls into the scouting program. I am excited to be a leader, and I'm really excited to bring my own daughters in and get to see them experience these same things and accomplish the very same things as well, and have them be a part of this great program. The truth is, our family's been a part of scouting for many years, but for the first time here in February, our girls having tagged along for so many years, will finally get credit for the things that they've experienced, the activities that they've been able to do, the camps that they've been able to participate in. It's really a wonderful time in Scouting. If you're a mom or a woman who's out there wondering, can I get involved? You absolutely can. There's so many great opportunities for leadership or just participation in Scouts. There's lots of training and support available, so you always feel like you can participate and contribute in a positive way. And it's wonderful to have the time to set aside with my boys to get to have these opportunities and experience these things with my girls as well. It's been fun to be a part of Scouting. Scout me in.
All right, so you get a feel for that. So here's Darin Kinn. I think, you know, the uniform, I have the untucked female version. He has the dark male version, because we both have exact black shirts. The only difference is it's like our BSA uniform. So here's
right.
Darin Kinn with Cub Scouts.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so Tom, Michael, Phil, though, we might have a problem here. I thought this was a council finance seminar. So I built all my slides around the topic of building council financial sustainability through camp properties. So, no. Of course, this is marketing. So let's talk Cub Scout marketing for a few minutes. We're going to talk in particular around campaign updates that will be launching in May and June. And we'll also talk about fall media. How are we going to go to market this fall to invite new families to join Cub Scouting? So campaign updates. As we know, Scout Bean campaign launched a year ago to great fanfare. 300 plus pieces in the BSA Brand Center, creative featuring English language versions, Spanish versions, bilingual versions, featuring boys, girls, boy dens and girl dens together, featuring great Cub Scouting activities like canoeing and slime, etc. And with that campaign being in market for a year, we've learned some things, and it's time now to take some evolutionary steps, make some minor tweaks and adjustments. We will, of course, keep the great features of the campaign, the big, bold font, the handwritten font that really grabs your attention and brings you in. It's very edgy and fresh looking. The bright color palette that pops off the page, very saturated color schemes. And of course, the POV perspective. What a great way to pull people into the excitement of Scouting. When you see a pair of hands doing something, it pulls you right into the action, makes you feel a part of what's going on. But the steps we want to take is, the first thing, flipping the camera. And what in the world do I mean by that? You know, the POV perspective is great from the person looking out. We know that also emotion and faces help sell Scouting as well. So we want to turn the camera slightly, show more emotion, more faces, people smiling, people having fun and doing things. Gender, we're going to continue to build upon the library of imagery that features boys, that features girls, and features boy dens and girl dens together. And then of course, diversity. We want to amplify that diversity and inclusion messaging to continue to build upon what we already have. Michael gave me a stat yesterday that was astonishing. We have over 300 pieces in Brand Center across all brands that are geared specifically to reach the Hispanic audience, so that's awesome. We're going to build on that, but we also know people need imagery and options that feature an all African American cast, or an all Hispanic cast, all Caucasian cast, and then some that mix various ethnicities together. So we'll continue to build that, launch in May and June. So I'm going to show you some examples, but first, the real estate contract here. This is not final art, what I'm about to show you. Things haven't been retouched, color corrected, etc. We're going through the select process starting next week, so these images may not even appear anywhere as we go forward. We just grabbed a handful of things off the SD card of the camera just to give you a flavor of the things to expect. So, smiling faces, kids doing things, having fun in Scouting. Action-oriented, again, flipping that perspective, not necessarily POV, but showing faces. Biking, action-oriented, featuring girls. You also see boys in the background. We'll have versions where that is reversed, where you see boys in the foreground, girls in the background. Another example here. And we know we need to build the library of stock imagery. B-roll, stock images. As you're pulling things together locally, you need images, and we are working to build that. Just for example, we took the frame and the font and the image and combined them just to see what it may look as it lives in the campaign. And again, this is not a final piece by any means, but it gives you an example. Catch the moment, boys and girls in the shot, etc. So that stuff will launch in May and June on the BSA Brand Center. You'll see at least 19 new sets of options that will include flyers, posters, all the usual stuff that's produced. Fall digital media. So in 2018, we executed in 20 markets sort of a 3-layer strategy. A layer of search where we bid on key search terms, scouting related terms like Cub Scouts, find Cub Scouts near me, things like that, but also ancillary terms, after school activities, leadership development activities, etc. We, on top of that, layered in 20 councils general brand advertising in the social space, in Facebook and Instagram, that promoted the Cub Scouting brand and drove people to beascout.org to become a lead. In addition, this is the exciting one, we geofenced calendar invites in Facebook to drive people to specific joining night events. And this 3-layer strategy performed extremely well. Michael will talk about that in a few minutes, so I won't steal his thunder there. But in 2019, we're going to continue that 3-layer strategy and build upon it, and test multiple combinations of tactics to determine exactly what tactics drive the best ROI, what tactics drive new members, which is what this is all about. So when you look at a timeline for that, right now we're in market, and this is really cool, we're in market with some brand perceptions and awareness research. It's been quite some time since we've done that, since we've understood from non-scouting families, are they aware of our scouting brands? And if so, what are their perceptions? What do they think about our brands? So we're in market now with research there, and we'll follow up our fall recruitment efforts with another round of that same type of research to understand, did we move the needle? Did we change things? Did we adjust perceptions? During the key recruitment time, of course, we'll be in market with search ads, again, on Google. And we'll be in market with social ads in Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and Nextdoor. Nextdoor will be a new channel for us this year that we want to learn more about. We want to test, we want to understand it, and determine if it can help us drive new members. And then, of course, geofencing. And here's a plug. This afternoon, we're going to dive deeply into geofenced Facebook calendar invites, the results we saw last year, and what we intend to do this year. So if you're interested in that, please attend the breakout session this afternoon. So we will be asking councils to participate with us this year in a test again. And that communication will happen through the Membership Growth Coach team beginning next week. So stay tuned for that. And with that, I believe I hand it back to the weatherman, Mr. Michael Ramsey.
Oh, the weatherman thing won't die, will it? So what you have coming in from the west is the Brand Center. No, it's not that. So that's the number one question we get. And by the way, thanks to Tom and Darin. I mean, these guys have just done amazing work, the video production, the planning around it. Give a round of applause. There's a lot of this stuff we've never done before. I mean, we've done search nationally for 5 years. We've had a layer of search. So if you search for Join Cub Scouting, you got beascout.org, for instance. But this really hyper-targeting that we're talking about around things like geofencing is all brand new. We've never done this kind of marketing around the scout program, certainly Scouts BSA, especially around girls. So we have a very bullets before cannonballs kind of approach. Let's test some things. Let's see if it works. And if we find things that work, let's expand and build on that and begin to roll that out nationally. So number one question we get, though, aside from how do I do geofencing, is where do I find the stuff, right? Where do I find you have videos? Where do you find it? Everybody been to the Brand Center? Good. Most hands go up. Okay. So there's a few that happen. So let me show you. Scouting Wire. Everybody gets the Scouting Wire and reads it religiously every week, right? Yeah. Yes, we do. Good. At the very top, at the top of the masthead, you'll see a link that says the VSA Brand Center, and you click on that, and it takes you to this. Have you all seen this? Yeah, don't raise your hand if you haven't, but yes. So this has been reorganized in the past year or so into programmatic buckets, and so obviously Cub Scouting, Scouts BSA, venturing, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of other categories in this site as well. It's BSA brand asset materials, there's brand guides, there's a ton of stuff in this site. We have over 10,000 registered users, and you don't have to register to use the site, but we'll hit 10,000 probably by the end of, probably by today. 10,000 registered users in this site. We've seen exponential growth in this, and frankly, that's because of all of you. This was the #1 downloaded picture about 3 weeks ago, because this is a new face of Scouting. Cool, huh? Very nice. And as Tom showed us earlier, we're adding new assets to this thing every week. And again, these are, as Darin said, these are things we just drug off the SD card. This is some of the new shots from California. The level of diversity is just off the charts, much better than we've been in years past. In 2018, we had 130,000 downloads off the Brand Center. We're 60% ahead of that right now for 2019 already at this point. So lots of traction, lots of usage on that side as well. That's us for now. I think we're right on schedule, right? So we're going to take some time as a different sketch and take just a couple of questions right now. We'll move on. Yeah, go ahead.
So I love that you've got the logos and everything and all of the images. Is there any, I haven't seen any, like family images to promote family scouting? Do we have like a full?
Michael, I can answer that one. So yeah, there will be family images in Cub Scouting for sure. African American families, Hispanic families, Caucasian families, doing the multiple different activities, bike riding, fishing, etc. So there will be tons of, mom, dad, son, daughter type images that will be available. Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff will start hitting because we just wrapped up the shoot,
Yeah.
a week ago, a couple weeks ago, right? Yes, ma'am.
What I've seen is absolutely terrific. I love it. You've done a fabulous job. I think it's important that we not create any misperceptions or inaccuracies. And so I'd like to suggest that I have not seen this today, what I've seen is great. Let's be very careful that in activities that we are depicting for our program, so we know that our program is the content of our handbooks. Okay?
Sure.
The program is what's in the Cub Scouting handbooks. So let's be careful that we're not depicting Cub Scouts doing things that aren't part of our program. That leads to a misperception on the part of prospective members and their parents.
I think that's really good feedback. One of the things that we did, and thanks for your leadership too in this space. I think Darin, so Cub Scouting specifically within Darin, Anthony Berger, also health and safety. We've looped in health and safety into these things to make sure that we all know what our health and safety rules are, right? Are they wearing PFDs? Is it the right helmet? Those kinds of things. There's a lot of work that's done before we ever get out to any kind of shoot. But yeah, very aware of that. One more quick question. Yes.
I love the increased diversity. Have you been to Target recently?
Not today, but yeah. Every day.
Because they're on a semi-weekly basis. And what they've done with their in-store ads, I love, is
Right.
showing a lot more diversity in age, in body type, in special ability, special needs.
Absolutely.
Talk about the
And
wheel,
that's
Michael.
something I would love to see coming out more. We also have a lot of religious communities in our council that said they need images of girls wearing religiously appropriate clothing.
Right. We can talk about this offline. I don't want to run our time here. We've talked about that a lot, specifically in the area of religious diversity. And some of that we may think needs to be hyper-local because we are concerned that we might shoot something that might not work in different markets. But let's talk about it. We have some specific needs, but absolutely. One of the things that we've done in development, we've developed in association with the membership team is, frankly, it's a little bit of a Venn diagram of things that we want to make sure we incorporate from a diversity and inclusion perspective into all these materials. And we're looking at things like race and economic status and those types of things. It's an interesting conversation to have. Then how do you depict that in a way that's respectful to all cultures? So it's a really great question. All right, so I'm completely out of time now. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.